In this problem, we're asked to write our own version of the strlen function and name it mystrlen. To start, let's go over what strlen itself does, and then consider how we could recreate it. Recall that a string is merely a char array. For example, consider a variable named fruit, which has been assigned the string apples. Fruit itself is really just a char array containing the characters A, P, P, L, E, S, and the null terminator. So how does strlen work? Well, if we refer to its man page, we see that its return value is simply the number of characters that precede the terminating null character. In the case of our fruit variable, there are 6 characters that come before the terminating null character, so strlen would return the value 6. Another way of thinking about strlen would be that it returns the index of the first null terminator in a char array. Note that I said first null terminator. This is because it's possible to have an array with multiple null terminators, depending on whether they were explicitly placed there or simply leftover data that has not been overwritten. In this video, we will talk about the solution as if strlen returns the index of the first null terminator. To begin, let's write down the function header. According to the problem specification, the function should be named mystrlen and return an integer. In regards to input, the function takes in a single constant string. Let's name it s, just like in the original strlen function. Now, we need a way to figure out the index of the first null terminator in string s. Since s is an array, we can iterate over its values one at a time until we reach the null terminator. First, we'll need a loop counter. Let's name it count. Count will be used to determine what index we are currently looking at. Since we want to start at index 0, let's assign count an initial value of 0. Next, we need the loop header. We want our loop to execute as long as we have not seen a null terminator. In other words, as long as the value at index count is not the null terminator, keep looping. Now we need the loop body. In our loop body, we simply want to increment the value of count so that we can look at the next index. As is, our function iterates over the string s and increases the value of count by 1 per iteration. Once it exits the loop, the value of count should be the index of the null terminator. Let's see if this is true by tracing through our fruit example from earlier. Our loop would do the following. First, it would check to see if the value of fruit at 0 is the null terminator. Since it isn't, the loop body would execute and count would increment by 1. Afterwards, it would check if the value of fruit at 1 is the null terminator. Again, since it isn't, the loop body would execute, incrementing count by 1, and then move on to the next iteration, looking at fruit at 2. This continues on and on until count is equal to 6, in which case the value of fruit at index 6 is the null terminator. So the loop body would not execute, we'd be out of the loop, and the value of count would be 6. Since 6 is the correct value that we were expecting, we can finish our function by simply returning the value of count.